Hello everyone. Today we are going to study chapter 2 from hunting gathering to growing food. In first chapter what, where, how and when we learned what is history, how we got to know about the past, how we got to know about the early people and when did all that happen, how they used to live, how the early people used to live, how we found out about the early people. We learned all those things. Now let us learn in detail who were the early people, what were they called, what were they doing, what is that time period called. So we will learn all these in this chapter from hunting gathering to growing food. Now first let us know who were hunters and gatherers. Hunters and gatherers were the early people. So they lived 2 million years. 2 million BC. Okay. What they used to do, why were they called hunters and gatherers? The way they got their food. This is why they were called hunters and gatherers, because hunters used to hunt the animals for their food and gatherers gathered fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts, leaves, etc. from the forest for the food. Now, what was the food habits of gatherers and hunters? What did they consume? So, hunters hunted animals, caught fishes and birds, gathered fruits, seeds, nuts, etc. So this was the food consumed by the hunters and gatherers. And they always moved from one place to another. Okay. So, who were hunters and gatherers? Hunters and gatherers used to live 2 million years ago. They got the name hunters and gatherers because of the way they got their food. Hunters and gatherers used to hunt animals, catch fishes and birds. They also gathered fruits, nuts and seeds from the forest, and they always moved from one place to another place. They did not stay in a place constantly for a long time. Now let us know why they moved from one place to another place. Why were they on the move? Means why they moved from one place to another place. So what is the basic things we need for survival, that is food and water. So they had to move in search of food. So if they stay in a place for a long time, eventually they would have eaten up all the plants and animals surrounding them, and they had to starve to death. So that is why they moved from one place to another place for the food. Next is seasonal food. So not all the plants bear fruits and seeds in all the seasons. So they had to move in search of seasonal fruits and leaves or nuts. Next, in search of water. So water is also one of the basic needs for the survival. So they had to move in search of water, because not all the lakes and ponds used to be filled with water. In dry seasons they dry up, so they had to move in search of water. They had to follow the movements of the prey. So as we know, there is a food chain in the nature. So every living being is dependent on one another for their food. In the same way, a hunter is dependent on deer. What deer eats is fresh grass or leaves. So deer moves in search, or deer moves from one place to another place in search of fresh grass or leaves. So the hunter will follow the deer, because the hunter wants to hunt the deer. Like this, the people had to follow their prey. So this is also one of the reasons why they had to move from one place to another place. Okay, now let us know how do we know about early people? So we have already studied in first chapter. We got to know about our past through the archaeology department, through the past remains such as coins, buildings, paintings, manuscripts and inscriptions. In this case, how do we know about hunters and gatherers, that is our early people? How do we know about them? So the archaeologists found the tools and weapons made and used by them. So the archaeologists have found the tools and weapons which were made and used by the early people. So that is how we got to know about the early people. What were these tools and weapons made of? They were made of strong, imperishable and hard substance such as stone, bone, stone and bones, and also wood. Okay, so these tools and weapons were made from stone, bones and wood. What were these tools and weapons used for? So tools and weapons were used to hunt the animals. Hunt the animals. So, to cut down the trees for wood and to hunt animals, to scrape the bark of the trees and chop or cut fruits, nuts and meat. Okay, tools and weapons were used to hunt the animals, scrape the bark of the trees or cut the trees, chop or cut the fruits, nuts and meat. So, how do we know about the early people? Archaeologists have found the tools and weapons which were made and used by the early people. Those tools and weapons were made from strong and hard substances such as stone, bone and wood. These tools and weapons were used to hunt the animals, cut the trees, chop and cut the meat, fruits and nuts. Wood was used in firewood and to build huts. Okay, so wood was used for firewood and building shelters, that is huts. Now, and these some of the tools and weapons also had the handles made from bones. Okay, some of the tools and weapons had handles which were made from bones so that they could handle it easily. Now let us know, where did early people live? Now let us know, where did early people live, or how they used to choose the places to live. So Where did early people live? They used to live near the water resource. Why? Why did they live near the water resource? Because the land near the water resource was fertile, good for agriculture. Why did they live near the? So we are studying why did they, the reasons why they chose a place which was near to a water resource. The first reason is the place near the water resource has a fertile soil which was good for agriculture. Second reason is fishing. So the near if they stay near the water resource, it will be easy for them to go for fishing. So we learned that hunters used to hunt the animals and catch fishes and birds. So fishing was also important. Next reason, so water is the basic need which we need for the survival. So water, they used to choose a place near the water resource because uh, they can get drinking water easily. Another reason is uh, the same way animals also need water for the survival, right? So when the animals come near the water resource to drink the water, it made easy hunting for the hunters. So when animals used to come for drinking the water, the hunters can hunt them down easily. These are the reasons why they chose a place to live near the water resource. Next, so they used to live in caves and mountains. Reason is natural shelter and protection from rain, wind and heat. So there was no need to build anything. So it is a naturally available, readily available shelter. So they used to live in caves for protection and they also got shelter. Another reason is good quality of stones. Why they need stones? We learned that the tools and weapons mostly used by the early people was made from stone. So to make those weapons and tools, they need stones which is of good quality, which can last long. So they used to live near the caves and mountains where they got good quality of stones to make all the tools and weapons. Protection from wild animals. If they people lived in caves and also got protected from the wild animals living inside the caves. Now let us know what this time or what this period where the early people lived was called. So the period the period where the early people lived is called Stone Age. Why it is called Stone Age? Because stone was extensively used by the early people. In their daily life, stone was the most important thing because all the tools and weapons, everything was made from stone. That is why this period is called Stone Age. Okay. So now this Stone Age is divided into three parts. That is Paleolithic or Old Stone Age. Why Stone Age is called Stone Age? Because people used to make tools and weapons from the stones. So the main thing what they need were the tools and weapons. Why? To cut the fruits, vegetables, to hunt the animals. So what was their main source of survival? Hunting and gathering. So that is to hunt and collect the food and eat it. So that was the main thing which they needed for the survival. So this age is called Stone Age. Stone Age is divided into three parts. First one is Paleolithic or Old Stone Age. Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age. Neolithic or New Stone Age. Stone Age is divided into three parts: Paleolithic or Old Stone Age, Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age, Neolithic or New Stone Age. So this word is from the Latin word. Paleo means old. Okay. And lithos means stone. So that is why old stone age. So this was from 2 million BC to 12,000 BC. Okay. Next, Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age is from 12,000 BC this is 10,000 BC, and Mesolithic is from 10,000 BC to 8,000 BC. Neolithic is from 8,000 BC to 4,000 BC. Okay, so Stone Age is divided into three parts. Paleolithic, which range from 2 million BC to 10,000 BC. Mesolithic from 10,000 BC to 8,000 BC. Neolithic from 8,000 BC to 4,000 BC. So we will learn about these Old Stone Age, Middle Stone Age and New Stone Age as we go further in the chapter.